always good thing. So without further ado, get your notepads out, get your pens ready, get your thinking caps on, because it's time to learn some good stuff. So, get your ready.
So what's the difference between an amateur and a professional? Well, generally, professionals get paid. Right? Amateurs do something for a hobby, for a habit, for love. Professionals get paid. I'm sure we've got people in the room that they're golfers. They're amateur golfers. Then Tiger Woods, he's a professional golfer. Mike back there, Billy back there, myself, we all play on the same softball team. We're baseball fanatics, but we're amateurs. We don't get paid for that. We do that for the love of the game. A-Rod, he makes $25 million a year being a professional baseball player. So I want to talk about what it takes to be a professional network marketer as opposed to an amateur network marketer. Because most people in our business are amateurs. You know, you'll hear, it's funny, I'll do radio interviews or TV appearances or just kind of a lot of interviews on this last tour. I don't know why. I was interviewed on a Malaysian newspaper, a magazine in Korea, the main newspaper in Singapore. I had a lot of interviews, and often that question comes up, and they'll say, well, but you know, there's only a certain percentage of people in your business that make the millions of dollars, and then you have lots of people that they don't make a lot of money. Well, why is that? And I say, well, the reason is they have not become professionals. They treat the business like a hobby, so they get a hobby income. You know, and you can do some, I mean, some people do some hobby things and they make a little bit of money. You know, they paint, they sell the paintings at the flea market, or they make gift bracelets or jewelry or whatever, and they make a couple of dollars. But a true professional, they can make an extraordinary amount of money. And a true professional in the network marketing profession, we can make gangster money. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the kind of money I make, here I am, a guy who was a dishwasher in a restaurant, thrown out of high school, no college degrees to make the kind of money I make. That's gangster money. But how did I make gangster money? I've become a professional network marketer. I look at, okay, what are the amateurs doing? What is the professionals doing? And what are the skill sets that I will need to learn to become a professional? So if, and I'm not going to go long tonight, and maybe this is 30 minutes or 35 minutes or something, but I really do want to share with you why this is so important, because this really is about dreams. You know, Brandon and I were driving up here, and we were just talking like that a lot. You know, he said, well, how old are you before you really could just set your life the way you want and decide when you wake up and what you do? And that was a dream. That came about because I saw that dream first. I said, I didn't even know what it was at the start, but I said, I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to have some kind of business where I could just travel the world and work from under a palm tree, whatever. Then when computers came along, I got enamored, and yeah, I'm going to have a business I could run from a laptop sitting on the, you know, the Café Rook in Rue Saint-Honoré in Paris, watching people go by with my laptop, or sitting under a palm tree in Fiji or Tahiti, and know that I can run my business all over the world from this laptop. And I saw that image in my mind, and then I was able to manifest it on the physical realm here with Agile. So, but I had to develop some skill sets. Now, I told you guys, the first company I was ever with was Amway. That happened when I was 20 years old. I had been in the restaurant business and, you know, trying to work my way up from a cook to a waiter to a manager trainee to an assistant manager. Then I was a restaurant manager. And I realized I made less money as a restaurant manager than I made as a waiter. And I worked 2 times as many hours, 3 times as many hours. And I thought, well, so what I need to do is own my own restaurant. So I quit my job as a restaurant manager and took my assistant manager. We took every penny we could borrow and we rented a restaurant in another town and thought we would live the American dream of, you know, opening our own restaurant. Of course, that was a disaster. We didn't have enough money to bootstrap it. We ended up giving it back to the guy who leased it to us. But along the way, on one Thursday night at 8:30, the phone rang, and it was my partner, Jim. He says, Randy, what are you doing Saturday? Nothing really. Why? He said, I want you to come over to the house and protect me. Protect you for what? You got 3 big dogs. What are you worried about? He said, well, I was at the gas station filling up my car. There was a guy on the other side of the pump. He started talking to me. He started talking about making money. So he's coming over to the house on Saturday afternoon to talk about making money, and I want you there because I think it's Amway. Now, I was 20 years old, all right? I said, Amway? What's Amway? You don't know what Amway is? That's the thing where they draw the circles and it's about making money? I said, I don't know about circles, I don't know about Amway, but Jimmy, if this is about making money, we need to check this out because we're not making any money. So I go over to his house this Saturday afternoon. That guy shows up. His name is Jimmy too. He has a yellow legal pad like this. He has a red pen. He draws a circle and he writes you. And he draws 5 circles under the first circle. And then 5 under each of the 5 with 25 and 125 and 625 and 3,125 and 15,625 and 78,000. And I was mesmerized. So of course I joined on the spot. And Jimmy had to sign up so he could sign up me. So you can see what a good job I did protecting him, right? Now, I didn't make any money with Amway. Not because it's not a great company. It is a great company. I was just with the sponsorship line that didn't know anything about the business. They told me, go out and find people with hotels because they wash lots of sheets. And you can sell them buckets of SA8 laundry soap. So well, I didn't know anyone in hotels, right? A few people, and they didn't want to buy SA8 laundry soap, right? They had their regular wholesale people they bought from. They weren't going to buy from me. And I was just the kind of person, where I was at that point in my personal development. There was nobody who wanted to do business with me. All I did was I'd go out and I'd argue with people. And that was my whole business. And I can tell you every rational, logical reason why what you're doing right now is stupid and why you'd be an idiot if you didn't join me in Amway. Well, that approach didn't work very well, strangely enough. So I did that for a few months. That didn't work, so I switched to a new approach. I tried begging people. Just sign up, I need somebody, that approach didn't work very well either. So the bottom line was I sponsored one person into the Amway Corporation who was my roommate because I lent him the money for the distributor. And, he hung around. We hung around like 6 months. Neither of us ever did anything else. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any of the skill sets we're going to talk about. But back in that day, when you joined Amway, you got a 3-ring binder. It was like this thick. It was the training. This is how you do the business. So I said, well, these people must know what they're doing. So I got the binder and I called up and I'd call my friends and say, hello, friend's name. This is your name here speaking. And I've got something I'm really excited about and I'd like to share with you. What would be better? Tuesday night at 7 o'clock or Thursday night at 7:30? And they were like, well, why are you talking so funny? And weren't a lot of people come into my house. So 6 months go by, my roommate drops out. Well, what am I going to do? I've lost my entire organization. So of course I drop out. So I said, I tried it. It doesn't work. I love the idea. It just doesn't work. But of course I've gone to everybody I know, and so now they know Randy's into those things. So a few months go by, I get a call from a guy who says, I've got a deal that's just like Amway, only better than Amway. Well, I like Amway, so I thought this is better than Amway, so I joined that deal right away, signed up my roommate, same deal. Again, a few months go by, roommate drops out, I drop out. Okay, I tried it again. A few months go by, I get a call. They got a deal that's just like the deal that was just like Amway, only it's better than the deal that was better than Amway. I jump all over it. Roommate comes in. A couple of months go by, he's gone, I'm gone. Ring, ring. I said, deal was just like the deal that was just like the deal that was just like Amway, only it's better than the deal which was better than the deal which was better than Amway. I'm in like Flint. Roommate wouldn't join. So 5 years go by. 5 years I lose money in the business. 5 years I go to meetings, I drive my beat up old Plymouth and I park it behind the restaurant so nobody sees, so I can talk about traveling the beaches of the world, and they don't know I'm driving this beat up old rust bucket with, the Fred Flintstone floor that you can put your feet through and all that stuff. So 5 years, paying money, going to meet the prospects, buying packets, going to meetings, not making any money. Finally I say, this isn't working. Something has to change. There's some dynamic here I'm not figuring out, because the fact is there are people that were walking across the stages who were driving the free bonus cars. They were winning those free trips. They were cashing those big bonus checks. And I made a commitment. Okay, I've got to find out, what do they know? What is the secret they're not telling me? What is the distinction between those people who make money and those of us who don't make money? What's the deal? What do I have to know? And I had an epiphany after some real critical thinking. I came to the realization, I've got to do the business in a way that other people can do it. I've got to develop some skill sets, and then I've got to do these skill sets that other people are going to be able to develop. Because one of the fascinating things that happened was, during the 5 years I was losing money, I was still racking my brain and going crazy. Why are they making money? What do they know? What are they doing? And I noticed that, the person with the markers made the most money. So I said, okay, I got to fight my way to the front of the room. I've got to become one of those people who can make the presentations. I've got to be one of the people who can do the meetings. So I'm going to learn how to give the best presentations in the world. So I found a restaurant in Sunny Isles that had like a banquet room in the back, and they said, you know what, yeah, you can use the back room there. Just tell your people they can, if they buy coffee or tea and have a cake or pie or whatever, we'll just give you the room and we won't charge you. You can do your meetings. So I started doing meetings 5 nights a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. Every night at 7:30, I got up there, I had a big whiteboard, I wore my Miami Vice suit, and I drew circles. And I drew circles better than anybody in the world. Okay? So I started to be able to sign up people. I sponsored 30 people in a month. So I remembered back to the day, okay, 30 people, they're each going to get 5. That means I'm going to have 150 people next month. The month after that, the 150 are each going to get 5, so I'm going to have like 1,000 people. And when they each get 5, I'm going to have 5,000. I might as well just order the Lamborghini now. But a fascinating thing happened. The 30 people in month number 2, they didn't turn into 150, they turned into 3. Because 27 dropped out. So I said, well, obviously those 27 were stupid, ignorant, and lazy. I've got the wrong people. I'll get a new 30 people. Get on my Miami Vice suit again, draw all those circles again. Told her, you just bring your people to me. I will close them for you. You just get them in the room. I'll be up there drawing circles. They will be joining the business. I put in another 30 people. Next month, again, 25, 26, 28 drop out. Next month, 25, 26, 28 drop out. What's wrong with this picture? And that's when the epiphany came. And I said, okay, the way I'm bringing people in doesn't duplicate. It works, but it doesn't duplicate. And what we really make our money on is duplication. Huge deal for me. So I said, I'm going to develop a system. I'm going to develop a step, because I wasn't with a sponsorship line. I wasn't in a company that got this. There were other companies, there were other sponsorship lines. They knew this already, but I didn't know this. I was a slow learner. I had to learn by beating my head against the wall, by making a bunch of mistakes, by struggling. So I said, okay, I'm going to find a way to do the business so that the people that I bring into the business are going to be able to do the business. And that is the magic. This is what we have to offer with Agile that most people in our profession can't offer, is we have rock solid, airtight step by step by step duplicable system that we can offer people. If you look at our first step for a casual acquaintance, that Saved is the New Risky DVD. If you look at this cash flow class that we do, it's such a quantum leap above what anyone else in our profession is doing because it's so duplicable. Anybody can do it. People who would never do a home meeting before, they can do a cash flow class. People who would be deathly afraid to make a presentation, they can invite people to cash flow class. They can give out a Safe is the New Risky thing. They can follow up and give some product samples in the next magazine, and they can just follow the steps. They can just, connect the dots. People that don't make it in all kinds of other companies are making it with Agile. Even in people who haven't made it with Agile. Since we rolled out this new recruiting system at Agile World, we've had people that were left for dead who have come alive, and they're doing great now because of this system. And one of the components of this system, one of the really important elements, is this philosophy of using always third-party resources. We don't do one-on-one presentations. I was just counseling with one of my guys in Texas today via email, and because he's out there doing one-on-ones, and I'm saying, Jim, stop doing one-on-ones. They work for you. They work for me. But because he's a powerful person, he's a very successful business person. If he sits down across the table from you one-on-one at Starbucks, he's going to talk you into doing the business. But 95 out of 100 people, they're not going to be able to duplicate that process. But if you invite him over to a cash flow class and say, hey, follow along in this worksheet, watch this Eric guy on the video, and it's going to be about 30 minutes, and then we're going to answer some questions afterward. Everybody who comes to something like that says, wow, I could do that. I could see myself doing the business. Now, that doesn't mean that you still don't have to develop skill sets. You do. But the skill sets you have to develop are very simple, and they're very practical and applicable, and they work and they duplicate. So let's talk about them so you really know, okay, how do you go out and build a multi-million-dollar business with this? And again, here's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Let me tell you the number one expression that keeps more people broke in network marketing than any other sentence that has ever been uttered since the Earth's crust cooled. One sentence. This one sentence keeps more people broke than any other sentence that's ever been uttered. And this is the sentence. I don't know that many people. Exactly. See, that's what amateurs say. Amateurs say, I don't know that many people. We just moved here 11 years ago. See, there was a time Tiger Woods could have said, well, I don't know how to putt. I didn't know how to drive the ball 400 feet. Because he was an amateur, and he couldn't do that. To become a professional, he said, I need to develop those skills. There was a time A-Rod could not hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He couldn't hit a breaking ball. But he said, to become a professional, I have to develop skills. Maya Angelou, at some point in her life, she was writing poems that said, I float the boat on the sea with me. And thought that was brilliant. And then thought, well, maybe I could develop my skill set, my craft more. She made that was a conscious decision. It's the same thing in that regard. See, what amateurs do is they say, well, I don't know that many people. Now, the first problem with that is it's never true. Everybody knows a minimum of 500, 800, 900 people. Everybody. I don't care if you work in a lighthouse, okay? If you run the toll booth on the causeway, and that's all you do is sit in there and it goes up, it goes up, you still know 800, 900, 1,000 people. Everybody does. And we have proof. I mean, the average wedding has 500 people. There's 250 on the bride's side, there's 250 on the groom's side. And this holds true because the average funeral has 500 people that sign the guest book. Right? So isn't that fascinating? So when someone says, well, I don't know, I say, well, if you could turn out 500 people when you're dead. So that's not even counting the casual, that's not counting the regular lady at the dry cleaner. It's not counting your favorite waitress at Denny's. It's not counting the flight attendant you meet today and the rental car clerk that you meet next week and the people you meet standing in line waiting to see the next Matrix movie or whatever. I mean, the average person meets 5, 8, 10, 15 people a week.
MySpace, Facebook.
Well, yeah, we get into social networking stuff, it goes exponentially, right? But the difference between amateurs and professionals? See, professionals say, well, I'm going to develop the skill set of how to meet people. Because I think that's important. If I want to make millions of dollars in this, I need to develop this skill set. The amateurs say, well, I don't know that many people. So that takes us to the second skill set, which is the ability to work a candidate list. What's the difference between amateurs and professionals? Well, a lot of the amateurs, they don't even do a candidate list. They think, well, I know Jimmy would be great for this, and if Nancy signed up, she would make me a fortune, and if Bobby did this, he'd make a lot of money. So they think of 4 or 5 people in their mind, that's who they talk to, and if they don't sign them all up right away, what do they say? I've talked to everybody I know, and they're just not interested. Rank amateur. A professional makes a candidate list, and they know how to work a candidate list. It's a living, breathing thing. Their candidate list is organic. Because they say, okay, Danny joined the business, I can cross him off the list. What about the lady I met this morning at the dry cleaner? She's really sharp. I'm going to put her on the list. When I'm talking to people ready to enroll some more people, I need to get back to her. What about the guy I met at the party last night? What about the networking fund? They put themselves in places to meet people. And of course, this is what I could teach better than anyone in the world, because I came into the business as this pathologically shy guy, as this antisocial, deathly afraid of meeting people person. And even to this day, and people say, that can't be true, because I've seen you do seminar. You understand, it's a whole different dynamic. You can put me on a platform and have 20,000 people, that doesn't make me nervous at all. But put me in an elevator with 3 people who want to do small talk, I'm petrified. I can't, let me not affirm that. In the past, I was petrified of that, right? So that was just not my thing. But one of the things I learned is I could create situations where I met people, and I didn't even do this for network marketing consciously. This was something that I was able to develop over time, probably on a subconscious level. And then once I saw it started, I could refine it. But I recognized that I could put myself in situations where I would meet people in a non-threatening way. You heard Billy Looper up here talking earlier. Now, Billy is a double diamond director. That means he's built a very big group. He's made $1.3 million with Agile so far. You can figure with our team volume commission, our leverage matching bonus, I made a couple of bucks because I brought Billy to the party, right? Now, you know why I brought Billy to the party? You know how I met Billy Looper? Because I went and played softball. See, now, I never played ball. I love baseball, been passionate about it my whole life, but of course my mother didn't have money for equipment and Little League and fees and all of that stuff, so I never played. Then at 4 years old, I was working with a company, speaking at a convention, and they said they were going to do a charity softball tournament, raise some money for a March of Dimes. I played, I had the time of my life, and I thought, wow, I could do this now. I have the money, I have the time, I could start to play softball. So what I did is I found an ad in a magazine, responded to an ad that they had a league, and I joined that league. And I remember the first Sunday I was driving up there, because I was so excited about the ability to play softball. And then when I was in the car on the way up there, I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know anybody on this team. My palms were sweating on the steering wheel, but I really wanted to play softball. Then I got there, and what happens? Okay, hey guys, this is Randy, he's the new guy, and this is Jimmy, and this is Bob, and this is, and you don't know, this is so. And then you just go and you play ball, and there's no nervous thing. You just start playing ball and you forget about it. By the end of the game, you're like friends with those people. Then I met people on other teams, and then we went to tournaments, and then I joined other leagues. So I have a double diamond director, I have a director, I have a manager, I have a senior manager, I have a regional, all people I met because I play softball. I have senior directors because of the church that I go to. I didn't go to the church to recruit people. I go to church for my spiritual sustenance. But while I'm there, see, if I'm sitting there and you're sitting there and we go, wow, did you hear that service? Wasn't the minister amazing today? Didn't you love the part? It's a non-threatening way to have that conversation. It's a non-threatening way when you meet, I joined the Viper Club. It's just a social group of guys who drive the Viper cars. And you have a shared experience. So you go and you meet people, and I was still a little nervous. So I remember going to the first club, function. But, I loved the car, and, I knew these other guys loved the car, and we were going to look at the cars and hear about the specifications, and, it was a kind of a fun thing. So my desire for the fun outweighed my fear of meeting people. Now, the truth is, I bet half of this room, you don't even have that issue. Chuck doesn't have that issue. Jerry, I don't think you have that issue. I know Billy Looper doesn't have that issue. A lot of you love to meet people. You don't have that nerves. You're not shy people. You're outgoing, gregarious, social people. You love to meet people. So you don't even have that issue. But the point is, if you are shy, you have a choice. You could be an amateur and say, well, I don't know that many people. I don't know how to meet people. I don't know how to work a candidate list. Or you can say, well, I want to be a professional, so I'm going to develop the skill set. The difference between amateur and professional, professionals develop the skill set of meeting people. The difference between the amateur and professional, the professionals develop the skill set of how to work a candidate list. They have their agile business plan, they start with that list, and then it's an organic list, and they work it all the time. Third skill set, one of the most important in our profession, is the skill set of inviting. So we invite people, hey, if I give you this DVD, would you watch it? That's an invitation. Hey, if I get a seat for you, we've got a cash flow class on Tuesday night. If I hold the space for you, will you come to the cash flow class? Hey, we're having an agile money mixer. So you might be inviting to a money mixer. You might be inviting to review a DVD. You might be inviting to come to a cash flow class. You might be inviting to get on a webcast or conference call. That's a skill. The skill of inviting people. Now again, what's the difference between amateurs and professionals? Amateurs say, well, I'm not very good at inviting. So what? Who was good at inviting? Nobody started that. If I look at some of the philosophies that have really made me money over the years, here's one of them. This has been worth millions of dollars to me. Here's my philosophy, and I live by this philosophy. You can't look good and get better at the same time. And it'd be the same whether we talk about invitations, if we talk about presentations, if we talk about any of the skill sets in our business, you make a choice. Do I want to look good, or do I want to get better? You want to make great invitations? You know what you have to do? First, you have to make good invitations. And you want to make good invitations? You know what you have to do? First, you have to make bad invitations. When I think of, again, the skill sets I had when I got, that's why I didn't make money those first 5 years. I didn't have the skill set. My invitations were horrendous. My presentations were horrendous. My follow-through was horrendous. But I could have done what most people do, which is say, okay, well, this doesn't really work for me, or I haven't made money, so I'm going to quit. And I'll go back to the herd, and I'll get the TV remote control, and I'll watch 6 hours of TV every day, and I'll veg out, drink some rancid fermented hops, rub the hair off the back of my head, leaning against a recliner, watching the Idiot Box 6 hours a day. Or I could make a conscious choice to develop the skill sets that will make me successful. That's the difference between the people who make millions of dollars and the people who make $12. It's a conscious decision. We weren't born with that. Ask Billy Looper. You know what Billy told me when I sponsored him into business? I went to Billy right away. I said, Billy, you can make $100,000 a month with this. I'm telling you, Billy, with your connections, with your charisma, you're articulate, you're intelligent, the people you know, I'm telling you, you can make over $100,000 a month with this. And he said, I trust you. I know you know this business. I'm willing to do this. I will do it. There's only one condition. I said, what's the condition? He said, I never have to speak in front of people. That's what he told me. I said, hey, that's your choice. Now, you know what happened along the way? I never told Billy Looper, hey, you have to get up and speak in front of people. Along the way, he said, you know, I noticed the people making the most money are the ones holding the marker. I think I need to learn how to hold the marker. He made a conscious choice to become a professional and get up and speak in front of groups. Never made him do it. Because that isn't what leadership's about. Remember, you know, we're doing network marketing. We're dealing with an all-volunteer army. You can't hire people, you can't fire people, you can't force them to do anything. We can only lead people. People say, how do I manage my people? You don't. You don't manage people. You lead people and you manage things. Right? So Billy looked at the leadership of Agile and saw, well, what the leaders are doing is they're getting up there, they're training, they're doing Super Saturdays, they're speaking at business briefing, they're up there presenting, their group sees them up there with the marker, so if I want to be professional, that's a skill set I need to develop. So here's the thing about these skill sets. We've talked about the skill of meeting people, skill of working a candidate list, the skill of inviting. Now, we could talk about the skill of presenting, but here's the thing I want you to understand. You don't need that to start. You can build a business that makes you $100,000 or $200,000 a year without being a presenter, without developing the presentation skill set. Now, that's not true in most companies, but it's true with Agile and it's true with A-Team. And the reason why is because of this system we've developed with the safest, the new risky, and the cash flow class, and all of the third-party resources. So we don't, in fact, we tell you, we don't want you to do one-on-one presentation. We don't want you to go and be the message. We want you to be the messenger. If you say, Gage, tell me the one secret. What's the one magical, mystical thing I need to know to make $1 million a year in the business? That would be it. I'd say, be the messenger, not the message. So see, the time will come if you're going to be a diamond director, where the people are going to expect to see you on stage. Say, hey, I'm in Lynn's organization. She's my double diamond director. They want to see you up on the platform. They want to have the pride. They want to bring their people to the good. See that lady up there? That's Lynn. That's my upline diamond. That lady up there had no experience in the business. She got in the business. Now she makes $2 million a year. That's her. I'm in her group. You could be on her team. They want that. So but that can come later. What are the skill sets you need right now just to make $200,000, $150,000, $100,000? The ability to meet people, the ability to work a candidate list, the invitation skill set, and the follow-up skill set. And the follow-up, that's so easy. It's come on. We bring somebody to an event on Tuesday. We need to give them a call on Wednesday. We bring them, we got them on a webcast on Thursday. We need to drop by a brochure or follow-up, a booklet or magazine or whatever on Friday. 24 or 48 hours later, we need to call back. So all we need to do, we need to have a planner or a calendar or a thing on our laptop or whatever that we can follow through. Anybody can learn that in 2 minutes. That's really easy. But not everybody chooses to do that. Some amateurs never learn that skill. So, I brought 5 people to the meetings and none of them have ever called me back. Well, of course they have. Because you got to understand, the average person in the world today watches 6 hours of television a day. Real time. That's the actual statistic. 6 hours a day watching TV. The average kid today spends 27 hours a week playing video games. So if you don't follow through, if you don't help them nurture, that's why I say that's their amateurs and professionals. See, if we just left this room, I know we've got some real success conscious people in this room. People, you stayed for the night owl. You could be home watching V tonight, right? You're here instead, so you're a professional, right? So, but if we just went out here and the next 100 people we saw on the bus stop said, "Would you like to be healthy? Would you like to be happy? Would you like to be rich?" All 100 would say yes. Say, we could show you a 2 to 4 year plan where you could be financially free. Would you do that? Absolutely. Would you be willing to trade 10 or 15 hours a week for that 2 to 4 years to be financially free? Yes, sign me up. But on Tuesday night, when you have the meeting here at 7:30 and they're trying to walk out of the house and they see that remote control, they can't make it past the remote control. That's the amateurs versus the professionals. So basic skill set, how to meet people. So if no one in this room, if you ever come to me again and say, I don't know that many people, I'm going to slap you. Because you just said, hey, I want to stay a rank amateur the rest of my life. I'm not willing to develop the skill sets to be a professional. So, well, I don't know who to talk to. I'm going to say, oh, please don't waste my time. You made a choice to be a rank amateur because you don't want to develop the skill set of how to work a candidate list. So, well, I made some invitations and they didn't show. I invited some people to my cash flow class and they didn't come. So what? I had 4 people who didn't come to my first cash flow class, which back then we called them PBRs, right? Private business reception. I had 4 that didn't show up. I had others who didn't come to the next one, and others who didn't come to the next one, and others who didn't come to the next one. But that didn't matter to me. What mattered to me were the ones who did show up. See, Billy showed up. Gail showed up. Dave Liddy showed up. Jeannie Kidd showed up. That's all I concentrate on. Well, who showed up? Who wants to step up? Who wants to be a professional? Those are the people that I'm going to work with, because they're the people that can walk past the remote control on Tuesday night. They made that decision. So, you look at my numbers, I've got 166 people now that I've put into the business over 4 years. I said, well, I bet they don't all do it. I bet some quit. What happens if you sponsor this guy and then this guy drops out? It happens all the time. Some do it now, some do it later, and some do it never. There's not that many people willing to be professional. But out of my 166 people, I went back and looked a couple of weeks ago, 89 were still in the game. So when I do those interviews with those newspapers and the magazines, they say, wow, well, half of the people dropped out. I say, so what? Half of the people that get married get divorced. You know how many people join college and they quit? How many people join Burger King and quit? What is that, 99.999%? How many people join IBM and quit? You know how many people join Life and quit? So don't tell me because half the people quit, because yeah, half my people didn't stay. But the 89 who stayed, that's produced an organization of 140,000 people for me now. So am I going to worry about the 70-something that want to watch the 6 hours of TV a day? I can't worry about that. They have the same opportunity that I had, and Billy had, and Gene had, and Dave had, and Gail, and all of the people I've introduced to the business. They all had the same opportunity. But not everybody was willing to become a professional. Not everybody was willing to let go of the remote control. So you want to be a professional, you make that choice to develop the skill sets. So after those 4 basic skill sets, then we have the 2 more advanced skill sets that you don't have to worry about till later, which is the presenting skill set and the leadership development skill set. Because that's, bless you, that's what the business is about. If you said, okay, Randy, tell me the truth when no one else is around. Just what is Agile? At its very essence, I'm going to say Agile is a leadership factory disguised as a wellness company. That's what we do. That's what being a professional is about in this business at the higher level. Getting in online, going into your back office and saying, okay, who are my leaders? Who are the people that I need to do? Where do I have a fire going in my organization? I'm going to get on a plane and go pour gasoline on the fire. Right? You all saw the video on our leadership updates the last 2 weeks. I did that around the world tour, and thousands of people. And I had the people in Jakarta, the people in Moscow, and Medan, and Seoul, and Sydney, and all I was doing was I just looked at the back office and said, where do I have a fire going on? Let me go pour some gasoline on the fire. Because I got leaders there. And if I go down and support those leaders, that will help those leaders develop new leaders. When you start, you could be a senior manager right now, and you've got 11 people in your group. Maybe you don't even have a leader yet. Then you got to look and say, well, who's my potential leader? Who's somebody, and now I don't have money to fly to Jakarta, Indonesia, like Gage did, but who do I have in Naples that has a potential to be a leader? That maybe I'm just going to get in my old Honda and drive 2.5 hours over there and do a meeting for them and help them grow. Who do I have up in Daytona Beach that, I'm going to finish work at 5 o'clock at night, jump in the car, drive up there, get up there by 7 o'clock, do a meeting till 9 o'clock, drive home at 11 o'clock, get something quick, go to bed, get up at 6 a.m. the next day and go back to work. But if I make an investment in that potential leader, they're going to turn into a leader. So those are the skill sets we develop. That's what makes multi-million-dollar earners in our profession, is the people who say, I'm not interested in arguing for my limitations. But that's what people do. And see, I learned that. That was one of the most important lessons I ever learned in personal growth, is only argue for the limitations you want to keep. But it's true, I don't know that many people. Well, the more you argue for that limitation, the more you're going to own it. I'm just horrible at doing invitations. I just can't make invitations. The more you argue for that, the more you're going to own it. If you make a choice, no, that's the skill set I need to develop to become a professional. That's how we break through. That's the personal development. That's the growth. So we start the skill set of meeting people, the skill set of working a candidate list, the skill set of inviting, the skill set of follow-up. That'll get you to $150,000 or $200,000 a year. Then you can fire your boss. You can go into the business, start working 20, 30, 40 hours a week, and then you can concentrate on the other skill sets, the presenting skill set and the leadership development skill set. Here'd be the last thing I would tell you. And I talked about this at Agile World. For every person seeking greatness, there are dozens more charged with safeguarding mediocrity. Right? For every person who wants to be a professional, for every person who wants to be great, there are dozens and dozens that want to live in mediocrity. People think the opposite of success is failure, but it's not. The opposite of success is mediocrity. See, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is a component of success. And Brandon, you said this in the car on the way up there. You were talking about your book, and one of your chapters was, what about failure? Embrace failure or become addicted to failure? Become addicted to failure. I love that, because that's what the business is about. You've got to say, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make the failure because I'm going to be bad enough to become good. I was doing a program with Ken Don in Houston last weekend, and Ken had this brilliant thing. He was talking about inviting and presenting. He said, you know what? You can never say the wrong thing to the right person. Because if they're the right person, you're going to mess up, and you're going to forget the amount of the expense allowance, or you're going to draw the circles wrong, or you won't know this person. It won't matter. If it's the right person, they'll get it. They're big kids. They know what passive income is. They know what residual income is. He or she who makes the most invitations will win. The person who goes out and makes 50 horrible invitations will make a lot more money than the person sitting at home practicing so that one day they can make the perfect invitation. Because that person is never going to make a dime in our business. The person who will go out and become good by starting by being bad, and test and track, test and refine, learn and grow, refine, reconfigure, test, work it, get good, from good they get to great. That's where they're willing to make failure. They're willing to do failure. They're willing to do the bad invitation so they can develop the good invitation, and then they're willing to do the good invitation so they can develop the great invitations. That's personal development. That's leadership development. That's developing skills And that's how you become a professional with Agile Enterprises. Thanks.